Hello everyone, myself Dr. Prajakta Zada from Department of Environmental Studies and Foundation course from Thakur College of Science and Commerce. Today I am here to deliver one of the short lecture on industrial development and the associated problems with it. This is from unit number 2 of Environmental Studies. So basically, when we speak about the problems related to the industrial development, there are a lot of problems which are associated with the industrial development or the industries, and the main one among that is air pollution. What exactly is air pollution? It is nothing but it is a mixture of the solid particles and gases in the air. Some air pollutants are really very poisonous. There are two types or two sources of air pollution. So basically, the primary pollutants are there and the secondary pollutants are there. When we speak about the primary pollutants, these are the pollutants which are causing the direct harm. For example, the gases like sulfur dioxide or the carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, these are the primary pollutants. However, when we speak about the secondary pollutants, these are often the pollutants where two different gases are mixed and they cause the pollutants. For example, we can say that smoke and fog that is mixed, which is the and the resultant is the smog. So that smog becomes the secondary pollutant. Inhaling the gases can increase the chance that people will start having the health problems. People with heart or lung diseases, older adults, and the children are at a greater risk from the air pollution. Air pollution isn't just outside, the air inside the buildings, the campus, the rooms can also be polluted and affect the health of the people as well as the animals. It is said that 51% of the pollution is caused by the industrial pollution, the maximum of the same. 27% of the pollution is caused by the vehicular emissions, 75% by the crop burning, and 5% by other sources. Air pollution contributes to the premature deaths of 2 million Indians every year. When we speak about the types of pollutant, there are two major types of pollutants. The primary, as I discussed, the primary pollutants and the secondary pollutants. The primary pollutants that directly cause air pollution, like for example, the gases such as sulfur dioxide emitted from the factory is a primary pollutant, whereas secondary pollutant is the intermingling and the reaction of the primary pollutants, and that can be examined with the examples such as smog, that is the intermingling of smoke and fog. Coming to the next patch, that is causes of air pollution. Causes of air pollution is nothing but the various factors which are responsible for different type of pollution which are causing the air getting contaminated. The first important cause is combustion of the fossil fuel. These fossil fuel like the coal and oil for electricity and road transportation, producing air pollutants like nitrogen and the sulfur dioxide gas. Secondly, emissions from the industries and the factories releasing large amount of carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, chemicals and organic compounds into the air. Third, agricultural activities due to the use of the pesticides, insecticides and fertilizers that emit harmful chemicals. Fourth, the waste production, mostly because of the methane generation in the landfills. These are the important four of the air pollutions. At the same time, we can say that the fifth one is the transportation. Vehicular pollution is a major contributor which is leading to the air pollution, especially in the urban areas, urban cities. When the car burns gasoline, it emits pollutants in the air, which is as harmful as smoking 10 cigarettes a day. So, imagine how dangerous air pollution can go ahead with vehicular emissions. Vehicle emit carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, nitrogen oxides, and particulate material. The next one can be termed as construction and demolition. This is the severe cause leading to air pollution. With the rise of population in the city, definitely different type of construction and demolition is a part of ever growing developmental phase of the national capital. Several construction sites and the raw materials such as the bricks and and concrete cause haze and foul air, which is hazardous for the people, especially the children and the elder citizens. Nextly, use of the chemicals and the synthetic products. We always consider outdoor air pollution dangerous for our lives, but never ever people tend to talk about the air pollution, which is the indoor pollution. So, household products can also cause the indoor air pollution, and that is really, really dangerous, which can be counted to 10 times more harmful than the outdoor air pollution. Volatile organic compounds, that is the VOCs, found in the paints, cleaners, and the personal care products such as perfumes and deodorants are the reason for common health issues. Risks such as the asthma or other respiratory issues and the lung diseases are other issues caused by inhaling poor house air quality. So that is why people at who are staying at home, they are also prone to different type of pollutants, we can say, and thus they are falling ill. This graph shows the increasing level of the particulate matter, that is particulate matter 2.5, with comparison from 2019 and 2020. Here, further comparison was done in terms of 2020 and 2021, where we can see that by the end of November 2021, the particulate matter have increased. Next important thing after air pollution can be termed as global warming. This is again the problem which is caused by the industrial processes. What exactly is global warming? Global warming is a slow increase in the average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere. Important greenhouse gases cause global warming. Carbon dioxide is produced whenever something is burnt. The different type of greenhouse gases, which particularly include the carbon dioxide, that is CO2, is the most prominent among the greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide is assigned as the GWP, or the global warming potential of 1. Methane, CH4, is produced in many combustion processes and also by anaerobic decomposition. For example, in the flooded rice paddies, pig and cow stomachs, and pig manure ponds, methane can be found. Methane is also the second important greenhouse gas, which has the global warming potential of 28 to 36 times. So that is as dangerous as 28 times the carbon dioxide is emitted. Third one is the nitrous oxide, which is really causing the problem of greenhouse emissions, or what we can say as the global warming, climate change. Nitrogen oxide is also called as the laughing gas. Agricultural activities such as the fertilizer use are the primary source of nitrogen oxides emissions. Fossil fuel combustion also generate nitrogen oxide. Next, water vapor, another major greenhouse gas contributing to global warming. The warmer the surface, the greater the evaporation rate of the water from the surface. As a result, increased evaporation leads to a greater concentration of the water vapor in the lower atmosphere, capable of absorbing the infrared radiation and emitting it downward. Water vapor is really considered to be dangerous with an effect because it is capturing all the heat absorption from the atmosphere. The next one is chlorofluorocarbons. Chlorofluorocarbons, or the CFCs, is entirely produced by the human activities. It is widely used in all the cooling agents such as the air conditioners, refrigerators, cold storages, etc. This chlorofluorocarbon, particularly the chlorine element of the CFC, is affecting the ozone layer. When we speak about the next component, that is ozone. Though till now we know that ozone is a life saving gas, it is very much good for the human beings. The ozone is depleting, that is a problem. But when we speak about the ozone here, this ozone is the ozone which is found in the troposphere, and this ozone is because of the CFCs. They break out the ozone, and different type of molecules, that is the O3, combine and ozone is formed. This ozone gas is able to capture the heat as like it is doing in the stratosphere. Moving ahead to the next point, that is, if global warming is such so dangerous, what exact dangers are the problems to the environment? First one, speaking about the effects of global warming, the first one is the melting of ice. Projections suggest climate change impact within the next 100 years. If not sooner, the world's glaciers will have disappeared, as will the polar ice cap and the huge Antarctic ice shelf. Greenland may be green again, and the snow will have become a rare phenomena. Thus, the problem of melting of the glaciers is a severe one, which is even depleting many of the polar animals. Rising sea levels. Climate change impacts rising sea levels. Average sea level around the world rose about 8 inches, that is 20 centimeter, in the past 100 years. Climate scientists expect it to rise more and more rapidly in the next 100 years as a part of the climate change impacts. The next important effect of global warming are the torrential downpours and more powerful storms. Climate change impacts the amount of water in the atmosphere and will increase producing violent downpours instead of steady showers when it does rain. During the climate change scenario, we find that because of the global warming, the amount of evaporation, the amount of condensation is very high, and that is creating a tremendous pressure on the availability of the rainfall. Lot amount of rainfall is produced, and that is also carrying or causing different type of situations like floods. However, at other places, other problems such as heat waves and droughts are also common. Despite downpours in some of the places, droughts are prolonged heat and prolonged heat waves will become very much common, particularly when the amount of moisture is evaporated during the summer season from the soil. The next problem associated with the global warming or the climate change is changing ecosystems. As the world warms, entire ecosystem will move. Already the rising temperatures at the equator have pushed such staple crops as rice north into once the cooler areas. Many fish species have migrated long distances to stay in waters that are proper in terms of temperature for them. These fishes are usually called as migratory species, and sometimes these migrations are the forced migrations, even like animals, like human beings. The aquatic creatures are also forced to relocate themselves. Another major problem associated with the global warming is reduced food security. One of the striking impacts of the rising temperature is felt in global agriculture. Different crops grow best at the quite specific temperatures, and when those temperatures change, their productivity changes significantly. The productivity of the rice, the staple food of more than one third of the world's population, declines 10% every 1 degree increase in the temperature. It means that degree increase, nearly 10% of the production will be declined. So imagine that can be so severe that very soon a situation will come that many of the patches of the rice crops will be gone. Expectations are that in Thailand, the world's largest exporter of the rice, however, future increases in the temperatures may reduce production of the rice by 25%. It can be expected by 2050. Pest and diseases. Rising temperature favor agricultural pest, diseases, and disease vectors. Pest population are on the rise, and illnesses once found only in limited tropical areas are now becoming endemic in much wider zones. In Southeast Asia, for example, where malaria have been reduced to a wet season, only diseases is the most common. It is again endemic almost every year around. So, food security can be termed as a very severe problem associated with global warming. The graph here shows how the problem of increasing temperature are seen, particularly in terms of increase after 1970 to 2022. Gradual increase is associated, and this increase have moved to around 1.2 degrees Celsius. So that is the yearly change. After two concepts, that is the air pollution and the global warming, we are now associating how industries are causing water pollution. Water pollution occurs when harmful substances, often chemicals or the microorganisms, contaminate a stream, river, lake, oceans, aquifer, that is the water table or the underground water, or other water body, degrading the quality of the water and rendering it toxic, the poisonous to human or the environment. Out of its population of 1.3 billion people, 91 million people, that is 6% of the population, lack access to the safe water, and 746 million people, that is 54%, lack access to the safely managed household sanitation facilities. Current challenges include extreme water stress, contaminated surface water, and lack of access to the piped water supply. The effects from the climate change, like droughts and the rising sea levels, also affect access to safe water and sanitation for families in India. These factors, dear friends, can be said to be combined with the current initiative by the Government of India to provide the tap water connections to every household by 2024. This have increased the unprecedented urgency to implement the effective solutions to increase the access to the safe water and sanitation. Wherever the government is trying to resort to the problem or trying to overcome the problem, other time the same problem is causing another problem, and that way the chain continues. When we speak about various causes of pollution, we say that the industrial wastewater is the main one. Many industries not having the proper waste management systems drain the waste in the fresh water, which goes into the canals, rivers, and the lakes, later on into the sea. The toxic chemicals may change the color of the water. At the same time, they even may increase the number of the minerals, and this portion is called as the eutrophication. That is the changing temperature of the water and pose a severe hazard to the water organisms. Second important problem associated with water pollution is the sewage and the wastewater. The sewage and the wastewater that is produced in each households are treated chemically and released into the sea along with the fresh water. The sewage water carries pathogens, a typical type of water pollutant, other harmful bacteria, and it may also be carrying the chemicals that can cause serious health problems, and that arises or that leads to the problems and different type of diseases among the animals as well as the human beings. Fortunately, some type of solutions mechanisms are now adopted by the government. Moving ahead to the mining activities, which is again next cause for water pollution. Mining is the process of crushing the rock and extracting coal and other minerals from the underground. These elements, when extracted in the raw form, contain harmful chemicals and can increase the number of toxic elements when mixed up with the water, which may result in the health problems. Mining activities emit a large amount of metal waste and sulfides from the rocks, which is harmful for the water. Fourthly, marine dumping, ocean dumping. The garbage produced by the household in the form of plastics, aluminium, rubber, glass, all this is collected and it is dumped into the sea in many of the countries. These items takes approximately 2 to 3 weeks to 200 years also to decompose themselves. When such things enter the sea, they not only cause the water pollution but also cause the harm to the aquatic animals and birds. The next cause associated with water pollution is the accidental oil leakage. Oil spills pose a huge threat to marine life when a large amount of oil spills into the sea and does not dissolve in the water. It causes the problems for the local marine wildlife, including the fish, birds, and the sea otters. Moving further to the causes of water pollution, chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Chemical fertilizers and pesticides are used by the farmers to protect the crops from the insects and the bacteria. They are useful for the plant's growth. However, when these chemicals are mixed up with the water, they produce very much harmful pollutants which are very dangerous for the plants and animals. Also, when it rains, the chemicals mix up with the air, water, rainwater and flow down into the rivers and the canals, which pose serious damages for the aquatic animals. Global warming. An increase in the Earth's temperature results in the global warming due to the greenhouse effect. This increases the temperature and further it leads to the death of many of the aquatic animals and the marine species. That may also result in water pollution. The dead bodies hanging in the water that can also lead to severe water pollution. Moving ahead to the next type of pollution is the radioactive waste. Radioactive waste is yet another problem which is very much severe and this is associated with water pollution. The nuclear waste that is produced by the radioactive material needs to be disposed to prevent any nuclear accident. Nuclear waste can have serious environmental hazards if not disposed properly. Checking with this world map, we see that according to the statistics of 2001, the expected results of 2025 are laid. Here we can say that the dark orange patches show the water withdrawal or the water deficit areas where more than 40% of the areas can be termed as the areas having less water. So basically, the orange and the yellow part are the play parts of the world which are in the dangerous zone. Apart from that, the blue and the dark blue part are the parts where we have a bit water withdrawal, but the situation is not very much dangerous. Checking with the or comparing 1995 to 2025, so a long 30 years gap, we see to it that in the states of North America, that is in the terms of USA, in terms of Alaska, and in terms of many of the countries in the Saudi Arabia, the amount of water scarcity have increased or is expected to increase over few further years. Similarly, the water scarcity in China is also expected to increase. Moving to the next problem associated with the industrialization is the acid rain. Acid rain or acid deposition is a broad term that includes any form of precipitation with acidic components, such as sulfuric or nitric acid, that fall into the ground from the atmosphere in the wet or the dry deposits. This can include the rain, snow, fog, hail, and even dust that is very much acidic. What causes acid rain? Acid rain results when sulfur dioxide, that is SO2, and nitrogen oxides, that is NOx, are emitted into the atmosphere and transported by wind and air currents. The sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides mix with water and other material before falling onto the ground. The major sources of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides in the atmosphere are burning of the fossil fuels to generate electricity. Two-thirds of two-thirds of the sulfur dioxide gas and one-fourth of the nitrogen oxide gas in the atmosphere comes from the electric power generators. At the same time, vehicles and heavy equipments are also responsible for acid rains. Similarly, manufacturing, oil refineries, and other industries are also responsible for oil spills and the acidic depositions further. There are two forms of acid deposition: the wet deposition and the dry deposition. The wet deposition refers to the acidic rains, fog, and snow. As this acidic water flows over and through the ground, it affects a variety of plants and animals. Dry deposition. If the wind blows the acidic chemicals in the air to the areas where the weather is dry, the acidic pollutants slip into the dust and the smoke and fall onto the ground as the dry particles. These particles tend to combine with the soil and can be included in the daily routine of the human beings. Moving further to the effects of acid rain. Effect of acid rain on the aquatic environment. Acid rain can either fall directly onto the aquatic bodies or get run off from the forest, roads, fields to flow into the streams, rivers, and lakes. Over a period of time, acid gets accumulated in the water and lower the overall pH level of the water. The aquatic plants and animals need a particular pH level of about 4.8 to survive. If the pH level falls below that, the conditions becomes hostile for the survival of the aquatic life. Secondly, the effects on the forest. It makes trees vulnerable to the diseases, extreme weather, and the insects by destroying their leaves, damaging the barks, and arresting their growth. For forest damage due to acid rain is most evident in Eastern Europe, especially Germany, Poland, and Switzerland. Further moving to the effects of the acid rain are effects on the soil. The soil needs to maintain an optimum pH level for the community of the biological activity. When acid rains seep into the soil, it means that higher soil pH which damages or reverses soil biological and chemical properties. Hence, sensitive soil microorganisms that cannot adapt to the change in the pH level are likely to be killed. Moving further, the effects of acid rain are on the architecture and buildings. Acid rain on the buildings, especially those constructed with limestones, reacts with the minerals and corrode them. These leaves in the buildings weaken the susceptible, are very much weak and they are very much susceptible to the decay. Modern buildings, cars, airplanes, steel bridges, and pipes are all affected by acid rain in the contemporary world. Irreplaceable damage can cause to the old heritage or the buildings. How to prevent this acid rain? First, by conserving the energy. The biggest step that you can take to prevent the acid rain is to decrease your energy consumption. Whenever you are not using an electrical appliance, simply shut it off to conserve the energy. Transportation. Because cars are a major contributor to the acid rain pollution, it's important to find the alternative mode of the transportation in an effort to decrease our reliance on the fossil fuels. By using the public transport or by using the public transit, carpools, bikes, or even your own feet, you are helping to reduce the air emissions or the automobile emissions. Third important alternative, alternate fuels. An excellent way to prevent acid rain is to stop using non renewable fuels and switch over to the renewable energy resources. These renewable energy resources can be termed from the point of view of solar, wind, water, geothermal energy, etc. Moving further to the next part, which is associated with the industrial development or industrial degradation, can be the ozone layer depletion. The ozone layer is a region in the Earth's stratosphere that contains high concentration of ozone and protects the Earth from the harmful ultraviolet radiations of the sun. Ozone layer is depleting in the thinning. Ozone layer depletion is the thinning of the ozone layer present in the upper and the lower atmosphere. Causes of ozone layer depletion. The first one, the chlorofluorocarbons, or what we often call as CFC. Chlorofluorocarbons are the most abundant ozone depletion substance. It is only when the chlorine atom reacts with some other molecule, it does not react with the ozone. Only chlorine can destroy one atom of chlorine can destroy approximately 1 lakh molecules of ozone. It is destroyed more quickly than it is created. Unregulated rocket launches. The unregulated rocket launches result in more and more amount of depletion of the ozone layer than the CFCs do. If not controlled, this might result in the huge loss of the ozone layer by the year 2050. These are some of the ozone depletion gases which are leading to the problem of global warming or air pollution. Effects of ozone depletion. Effects on eyes. The major cause of blindness in this world is cataracts. There would be 0.3 to 0.6% increase in the risk of the cataract if there will be 1% increase in the ozone layer. Decrease in the ozone layer. What exactly is the problem? If the ozone layer is depleting because of the severe human activities, nearly 1% of the ozone will be depleted. And this depletion is very much dangerous because around 0.3 to 0.6% of the increase will be there of the cataract patient. Eye lens can be damaged by the oxidative agents. Oxidative oxygen produced by UV rays can severely damage eye lens and cornea of the eye. This is very badly damaging, even damage created by the UV radiation. The next point is effects on skin. Exposure to the UV radiation can cause skin cancer. Depletion of the ozone layer leads to both sunburn and the skin cancer. UV rays radiations are also very much responsible for breast cancer and leukemia. Effects on human immunity. Exposure to UV radiations can also result in suppression of the immune response to skin cancer, infectious diseases, and other antigen. Exposure to UV rays can also result in suppression of the immune response to the skin cancer as well as other uh, different type of problems which can even be related with the eyes. Effect of food shortage on the human population. Depletion of the ozone layer is also causing the problem of food shortage to the human beings. UV radiations are disturbing the developmental and physiological processes, which is decreasing the productivity of crops day by day. So here we stop with the first session on the effects of different type of industrial activities on the environment. So to summarize, we have seen that the industrial activities are creating problem to different type of biotic and abiotic components, which particularly involve air pollution, water pollution, ozone layer depletion, greenhouse gas, or the global warming, increasing level of the global warming, and the ozone depletion. These are several impacts of the acid rain on the different type of industrial activities on the environment. Thank you.